Hi, Brandon. Welcome to BizTalk. It's my great pleasure having you. How are you?
Hey, doing well, doing well. How about you?
All good, all good. So let's start talking about yourself and your startup.
Awesome. I graduated in 2020 from a finance degree. After that, I just started trading for myself. I figured, I want to see if this is a real viable way to make a living. Can I, kind of manage my own portfolio and live off of my returns? So went full force into that 2020, found out that it is a real thing to do. Everything was going pretty well, but I realized I had my friends joining the markets and we were exchanging a lot of information. And once we took a position, we would go on social media and kind of confirm our bias. And we found that we were losing a lot of money, sort of listening to the wrong people online and really just going off of number of followers and different posts that were popular. And it just wasn't giving us the right answers. And so I figured, okay, this is a tough problem and it's affecting me every day when I'm trying to trade and make money. How do I solve this? So it was just something that was on my mind for a few months. And then it kind of struck me that if I could track posts and track content on a platform and assign a ranking to that content over time, then maybe I'd be able to find out who's consistently telling the truth and then only focus on those people. And so that's really the inception behind it is isolate those voices that are worth listening to and disregard the rest of social media and these, people who don't know what they're talking about as noise and really just connecting those experts with those beginners. And so didn't really understand technology at that point. My background, like I said, is in finance. So formed a tech team around March 2021 and have just been working on things since then. So we're about a year into this process. We have our MVP all set. We're doing a lot of beta testing and we have a pretty small community kind of giving us feedback weekly and actually using the platform. But yeah, we have an amazing wait list that we're just almost ready to make totally public and send them the final version. But yeah, right now we're just excited to really solve this problem. And currently we've linked with other social platforms like Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook, where you don't have to come to us necessarily, as long as you give your opinion on some crypto or equity and some future um, expectation. We're able to scrape that, track it, and then assign you a ranking just based on what you're doing currently. And so yeah, we're already in the process of building a lot of reputations and giving people the value that we're looking for. But ideally, the goal is to extend not just in finance, but every other domain where the opinions and discussions have some sort of value. So whether that's NFTs or the housing market or pieces of art, all these industries that are now becoming online, we want to cover all of those domains and direct people to those true sources of information. And an analogy I do like to sort of give to people, and it's the way I see the world, is, when the internet was first starting out and Google kind of had their hand in sorting knowledge, there was millions of websites and all the information you could ever want. And so they created PageRank to literally rank these pages and find what's relevant for us. And that method still works today. It's fantastic, of course. However, now today, the internet's changed where you have about 6 web pages where most of our knowledge is concentrated. You have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok. But now you have these hundreds of millions of accounts that are producing the knowledge that we look at. And so now we have to go a step deeper and focus on more of an account indexation as opposed to just web pages, because really there's only 6 web pages that matter today. And so that's our goal, is to be the account indexation for the internet. And we figure start with finance because it gives you those public variables. The markets are tracked all around the world. You can't really kind of dispute the information that's given. And so by starting with this objective sort of data set, we can then form objective reputations and build that brand of trust before delving into qualitative metrics like journalism, politics, all those, subjective sort of opinions. We do want to cover those and assign some truth, but you got to start somewhere. And so that's kind of why we chose finance.
That's interesting. How do you index? It's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. So there is a manual component to it right now. But really what we've done is we've created an algorithm where as long as you have an equity or some sort of financial instrument and then some future expected price, we're able to run it through our system and give you a score based on what actually happened. So it limits the amount of content we're currently able to index. It has to have those constituents. But there is enough content there with that syntax where we're still able to create pretty valuable indexation today.
You bring contents based on names, words, probably. And the problem is, how do you get the quality? How do you check the quality? Do you go one by one manually?
Yeah, so exactly. So we'll scrape Twitter, let's say, and then we have a script that will go one by one and pick out the tweets that matter. So if you have somebody who says Bitcoin to 100K, but there's no time element, we're still able to take that and we just impute or insinuate a time. And we say, okay, based on prior volatility, this is when it should hit 100K. And if it hits 100K by this time frame, or when does it actually hit 100K, then we're able to verify based on what the expectation and the reality. And so, yeah, we do go one by one. We pick out the ones that we can categorize. And then it really is just verifying at the time of whenever it makes sense. If there's no time, then we kind of put one up based on volatility, but usually there is a time element already.
You need to move to tech heavily to make this scalable. How do you do that?
Yeah, you're definitely right. So we do want to work with some ML and AI. So we are talking to somebody at Apple who worked with Siri. And so he's kind of giving us his perspective on, how to assign quality to different words and, have like a ranking system based on sentiment and really dive deep and be able to quantify large tons of data. But yeah, before we're able to do that, it's just stick to the data sets where there's actual numbers and figures. It limits what we're able to quantify, but over time, if we can build some sort of value here, then we can outstretch into machine learning and using AI for sure.
You started with finance, and but in any business using your indices, let's talk it this way. Do they have to have the trading contract?
Yeah, so really right now it's probably most relevant to finance and people who are into crypto and retail traders for sure. Though it is useful for anybody who just wants general knowledge on what a population is thinking at a given time. And so obviously equities themselves are individual companies. So if you want to know, hey, what do people think of, Nike today? And if there's a lot of negative sentiment towards them, you might be a buyer for, a big company, and it might inform you that, okay, public perception is waning on Nike and maybe we don't need to buy them this quarter. So there is some element of going a layer deeper using what we provide and then making your own informed decision. But right now, it's most objectively relevant to people, yes, in finance and trading stocks and stuff for sure.
So what's the state now? Have you done the MVP?
Yes, so we do have the MVP all complete. We have some users on the platform. It was closed until a few days ago, but now we do have a working version on the App Store. So if you type in Playfair on the Apple Store, you'll be able to find us. It's pretty basic. There are a lot of functionalities that we're waiting to add, but it's definitely there. And people can go search it up and test it out.
So how do you make money out of it?
All right, the golden question. So Yeah, so really there's a few plays that we want to do. So one, we definitely want to be a marketplace. We want to find those people who are providing the most value, and then allowing them to charge a subscription to this massive amount of people we've identified who are willing to pay for, that kind of information, as long as it's truthful. And so we just take a percentage similar to OnlyFans and any other marketplace of every transaction. But over time, we also want to partner with businesses in the sense that our brand will be the truth. We're always going to be producing information that is verified and objective, very, very high quality. And so we want to allow almost like a media company. We want to be a spokesman, almost a stamp of approval for brands who want to get a message out and have it be known as factual, as opposed to them going on Reuters or the New York Times and having people not totally buy in, because a lot of media outlets and institutions are kind of playing both sides and maybe waning in public trust. And so we think there's an avenue there to go to brands and say, hey, if you put a press release out, people are going to immediately trust it because you're putting it through us. And so that only comes after we're able to build some sort of trusted brand, but definitely want to expand to B2B as well.
How many people work with you?
So there's about 6 of us right now. Yeah, it's myself. Pardon me?
6 in the team, or how many co-founders do you have?
So I only have one other co-founder. And then we have a few other junior developers working under us right now. A few co-ops, just some interns who we're trying out. But I may bring on a third co-founder. I'm still kind of testing out one other person. But right now it is just 2 of us in terms of equity.
What's your vision for this company? Where do you want to go?
Awesome. So I definitely want to improve the state of the internet. I think that it's a large enough problem across the web where we want to be almost a reputation layer for any platform that pops up. So if you have a new version of TikTok, or even on Web3, there's all these new platforms that are coming out.
You have Donald Trump. I think it will start soon.
Exactly, right? Truth social, right? So all these people are going to be making platforms, and the whole world's coming online. There's a billion people still, yet to make a Facebook account that will in the next 5 years for sure. So I see this problem only getting greater in terms of tons of accounts, a lot of information, low friction environment, and not a whole lot of authenticity. And so we want to be that authentic layer for all these platforms to kind of say, okay, our metrics are followers following. We want to, our algorithms promote activity, where ours is going to be promoting the truth and more authentic sort of voices in the network.
This is pretty challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Twitter, I think all of them, they almost failed to moderate. How do you reach this? That's very challenging.
Very, very. So I think it just comes down to trust. If you start slow and you build trust over time, and you don't expect people to outright believe what you're saying and say, okay, just because I'm a large platform, or I'm Twitter, I'm Facebook, I've invented this platform, I can do what I want. I think if you slowly prove that what you deal with is facts and real content that is valuable for people, you can then become a curator yourself. And so it does give us some power, and some decision over what content is verified in a sense. But I think if your mission is always, look, how do we back this up with some sort of evidence, then you can get people to buy in, and then you can actually curate content for sure.
I mean, you just get started, and how much you're raising?
So right now we're looking to raise about 750 to a million US. Yeah, we haven't done any raising, so it's been bootstrapped this whole time. But yeah, definitely looking to do a pre-seed within the next month or two.
What's going to be the use of the proceeds?
Pardon me?
The use of the funds. How are you going to use these funds for
Oh, okay.
technology, marketing? How is it going to be used?
Right. So we are gonna definitely use it for some marketing. That's definitely on the table. But really just diving deep into product. We would love to bring on, a very experienced backend developer to help us go through more data and build even more reputations for all these accounts online. It's very taxing when it's not totally automated, and it'd be nice to have somebody skilled enough in machine learning to automate some of these processes for us. But yeah, we definitely want to jump on TikTok, reach out to brands and take advantage of the arbitrage while it exists today. Yeah, really just put it into the team. I'm the only full-time member today, and so I'd love to get some of my other team members full-time and have them on payroll, have their focus fully. But yeah, really just a mixture of marketing, user acquisition, and then bringing on some full-time team members.
I mean, in terms of having on board users, it's quite expensive. Do you have your marketing strategy? How do you get on board users? Acquiring them?
Right. Yeah, it is pretty extensive. And so we've taken a pretty frictionless route. And so initially we weren't going to integrate with other platforms. We were going to, have our own platform, our own algorithm, and keep it separate from Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and then kind of onboard people through traditional marketing. But we figured might as well integrate where users are. They're producing the content we want already. And that way we can show these experts or show people who we see are consistent. We reach out to them and say, okay, look, you're pretty good at this. We've been able to track you and we're able to see that your reputation's high based on our metrics. Here's our wait list of 300-400 people who are willing to pay for someone like you. Are you willing to charge a premium and go through our service and actually make money doing this? And here's the value that you're leaving on the table by not doing it this way. And so I think it's just unlocking that perception in people online who currently just do this for fun. Traders they're already making money trading, so they're not out there building a community, marketing themselves. And so I think it's just kind of that mindset shift that we're trying to unlock in as many people as possible. And that's really our marketing strategy for sure.
So what's your message to investors? What they should invest in yourself, your team, and your company?
Because nobody understands this market quite like us. I've been trading stocks for 5-6 years now. It's been my passion ever since I was in second year school. And yeah, it's really just been what I've always done. And so I feel like I have unique perspective in the sense that I was doing this before this whole retail trading segment blew up. I know their issues firsthand. And so I feel deeply connected and feel I'm the best person to build a product because I still do this to bootstrap the company and make money. I'm still in that environment. And so their problems are my daily problems. And so I can definitely build something that if it solves stuff for me, then it's valuable for the greater population that I operate in. And my team is super highly skilled. My CTO, my co-founder, he used to work at a cryptocurrency hedge fund. He's built full stack applications before. And then our interns that we're working with, one works at Meta right now, so Facebook. He loves what we're doing. Another one works where I used to work at MealMe, which is an AI company in the Bay Area. He recently quit his job and is doing a trial with us. So we'd love to bring him on equity and full time. Yeah. And then I do have another advisor who I met in university. He works at an AI company right now as well. It's called Trellis. But he's super talented. And it's just a matter of bringing these guys on full and really putting the pedal forward, but we definitely have the knowledge and skill set to make things happen.
So where do you see an exit for investors? An IPO?
Yeah, 100%. I would say, unless they want to exit, in successive rounds, we'll definitely be looking to do an A and likely a B, but it's not hugely capital intensive if you can get the marketplace running. I think the hardest part for an investor is understanding that this is something that is difficult and a large problem. And so if you're not willing to take a few years to get it right, then I don't think that you want to be on this journey. But if you're willing to, build something huge like OnlyFans and really build that marketplace that doesn't exist today and build, unlock people's minds and let them know that reputation is pretty much everything in society, and we can digitize this for sure. Then this is a journey for you, for sure. But yeah, definitely IPO.
Brandon, thank you very much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very great pleasure, and all the best. All the best.
Thank you very much, Massimiliano. Really appreciate you doing this, and I had an amazing time.
Take care.